Bloom's taxonomy kind of describes the different levels at which we can think about a topic or a piece of information. And this modified version of it has it as kind of an upside-down trapezoid. Some of the original versions just have it like a big triangle with the wide base on the bottom and then the little points up on the top. But the idea is that if we take a topic like, I don't know, maxima and minima and supremum and infimum of a set or something like that, we can, for example, sort of remember, right? Know either just from memory or from rote or to be able to pull it up out of a definition in a book. We can remember what exactly that is, and we can recite kind of what the definition is. So mathematicians tend to think of definitional knowledge as being somewhere down here, right, at the lower level of Bloom's taxonomy. But then, as we go higher up these levels, we can kind of do more and we kind of understand concepts at a deeper level. If we understand truly what the maximum of a set is, for example, then we can interpret what it means. We can explain it. We can paraphrase it. We can discuss it. We can have those conversations. And it's not necessarily always a hierarchy in the way that it's listed up here. Because, again, I feel like we're really good, collectively, at understanding what a maximum element of a set, for example, is, what it means. But mathematicians tend to set a very high standard, a very high logical standard, I'm going to say, for what it really means to be able to define a topic. And so being able to pull that definition out of your memory bank is an important thing. Ultimately, though, what's it all about? It's really all about the stuff that's up here at the higher levels of the taxonomy. We'd like to be able to take our understanding of what these different concepts in real analysis are and use them, apply them, solve a problem, carry out a calculation, write a proof. Actually, I would claim that writing a proof is probably even higher on this hierarchy. A proof is probably a creative expression of mathematics. To be able to evaluate an argument, to look at one of my proofs or look at one of your classmates' proofs and decide whether or not it's a valid argument. And analyzing, comparing, contrasting, organizing your thoughts. These are what educators often call the higher order thinking skills. These are the things that I don't like to throw K-12 under the bus, but it's often said in folklore kind of that this is kind of what college is about, right? Are these things at the top level, and then K-12 are kind of building up your knowledge base down here at the bottom. It's a false dichotomy, but that's kind of, your college courses tend to put a lot more of an emphasis on being able to critically examine information, make judgments, use information to create something new, analyze arguments, and so forth. That you'll see if you look at what the Bridgewater core curriculum is, look at what the program outcomes for the math major are by the time you get to the senior level, and this is a senior level course, so this is really where we want to be living. But we're not going to have a lot of success in higher order thinking skills unless we have this base down here at the bottom to build from. So what I've done is I went and I created a Quizlet account and I built the first sort of deck of Quizlet flashcards for our course. I put a link to it on the side of Blackboard, and the first one is just the definitions and the theorems that made up the important material for the first exam. So I just created this as kind of a first stab at it, and you are more than welcome to create your own Quizlet stacks. But from time to time, I might try to bring these in and give us collectively some practice in the classroom. But if you have an account, or if you can download the app. How's the app, by the way? I haven't used the app. Does anyone use the Quizlet app? Is it decent? Okay. Workable, at least. I don't think it does math notation. I think it probably could if I upgraded my account to Pro and paid like $30-something a year. I don't think I'm ready to do that yet. So what I did was I just typed out these definitions in text, and I capitalized the quantifiers in them. Just to make them kind of leap out a little bit, because that's, I think, another area where if we get the quantifiers down right, then we're going to be able to use them in proofs more. So, for example, I took the definition of max E and just expanded that out into, well, if M is equal to the max of E, then that means that M belongs to the set E, and for all x in E, x is less than or equal to M. One of the things that makes sort of my definition that I wrote up here a little bit more useful in a proof than the colloquial, oh, it's the biggest element in the set, is that it surfaces this x, right? For all x in E, x is less than or equal to m, which means that anytime I'm using the idea of a max in a proof, I can pull out an element x, and I can do something with this element x, knowing that this element x is less than or equal to m. I think that's the step that often gets forgotten, and it's what kind of differentiates what mathematicians call a hand-wavy proof from a more concrete, rigorous proof, where we're actually arguing about real numbers as opposed to sort of arguing about generalities. So you can access this flashcard set on our Blackboard site. I think the best way to do practice with it is just to choose the flashcards link on the side. I wouldn't, for example, try to do some of these fancier things that ask you to actually type in the definition that goes with the term, because it's probably not going to get it exactly right. But at least in flashcard mode, it can show you a definition, and then it can. Then you'll flip back to the term or vice versa. So for this one, for all x and e, x is less than or equal to m. What is that a definition of? An upper bound. Right, m is an upper bound for a set e. And so if that one goes well, then you can move on to the next one, the button at the bottom and so forth. I think these are just going in order right now, which is not great. So I'm going to click the shuffle button. That way, at least there's some randomization. And I'm pretty sure that Quizlet also gives you the ability, once you've gone through a stack, to take the ones that you didn't get correct and then put those in a separate stack and then review that stack separately later. That's kind of the best practice for how to use flashcards, is don't keep reviewing the ones that you get right, because those aren't the ones where you need to kind of push your brain a little bit more. So that's a tool there. You're welcome to build your own sets. I may push out some sets through Blackboard from time to time. But that's a really good study aid just for that sake of pure recall of what are these definitions and how can we actually deploy them.